Hi everybody, welcome to from Guatemala, which is in many ways the center point of the Americas. It's Central America, and I find it's an important place because there's a lot of work with cacao that derives from this area that we're in, Lake Atitlan. And in many ways, cacao is the heart medicine and a bridge medicine for a lot of us at this new time that we're coming into. And the cosmovision of the Mayas is something that I hold very dear to my heart and has informed a lot on my teachings and learnings in, well, definitely for the last 8 years, really deeply. And today I wanted to connect with you just a little bit about the serpent energies, which I've been in an immersion officially with the serpent energies since 20 years ago, since 1999, when I was in my dark night of the soul in many ways, in a book, The Cosmic Serpent, The Origins of DNA, or something like that, jumped into my hand, and then started my long journey with plant medicines and energy work and counseling and things like that. And I also have done, at the same year, I had my second mega bliss kundalini activation. I'd had my first when I was 13 years before that, and then I had at 26 another one. And yeah, I've been on a long journey. And I've spent since 2006 traveling extensively in the Americas. And in 2008, I became fully nomadic. And I'm now actually shortening my title to call in semi-nomadism, because I feel it's kind of time to consolidate things more. And the work that I've been doing, I've done some research work which ties in with the healing work that I do. I've had, since I read The Cosmic Serpent, just this connection and this story we have with our DNA was somehow got something in my soul. And I worked a lot with plant medicines like ayahuasca. And through that work, I got lots of downloads about epigenetic healing. Epigenetic healing being working with DNA and working with the knowledge now that we have that DNA A can be changed, and B, it inherits traumas and stories from the generations before. So that is something that's been latently brewing, and also positively brewing. Like, I've been aware that that's something that I'm connected to. And we've been doing a series of works here in the Mayan lands, and recently in Mexico we were working deeply with Quetzalcoatl, the winged serpent. And I also worked extensively with the rainbow serpent dreaming in Australia for some years, and the research there with native tribes and medicines genetics was the backbone to a piece of work I did as a dissertation for a master's in transpersonal psychology, which was also presented at the first ayahuasca conference in 2014. So the serpents have always been around. And then we completed our retreat in January 2019, so end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And then I started receiving dreams with serpents in them. And other months before that, I'd been receiving snake skins in the 3D and had given them in offerings with special tribal events. And then I was told that I had to really look at where I was weaving, where I was going to. And suddenly I realized a whole set of codes were there. And then that I had to present teachings on this that I'd already been working with, but I was told that a higher layer of those teachings was going to come through. And those have become, the first layer of those, the baby level, has just been consolidated into a foundational course for conscious practitioners. But along the way, over the years, I have been receiving things like light languages and kriyas, involuntary kind of movements that work with different activations for different things. Some of them are just cleaning my own trauma and karma, and some of them are for other people. And that has intensified. And the very short version of the story is that I had huge initiations and more upgrades in my trip that I recently did from Mexico to Australia and back. And every aspect of the teachings that I was already aware of from what native tribes had shared about the value systems of the serpent and how that's been corrupted out of its more divine aspect, they were all presented to me to work with in the higher transfigured form. So having worked and as microcosms and macrocosms of communities. So we were presented with huge upgrades around death, sex, the ego, and the material. And I'm here working with different communities now, setting up the transfigured version of those. What is transfiguration, you may ask? So, when we have something icky, often it's icky and it's been put there in our life for a reason. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. Because the more and more we can have gratitude for something being icky and see that it was put there, the more we can transmute it, which is to clear it. And then actually, when we realize it's a reference point to something that can become a point of mastery, we transfigure it. And I guess that for me, I've had a big process of awakening in a deeper way to my own purpose at assisting people with transfiguration, because my surname, and my first name is Victoria, and my surname is Sinclair, and Sinclair is illuminated one, and I've had seers tell me I'm here to assist people with illuminating things. So that's something that's become clearer over the years. And also I work with the gene keys, and part of my code has transmutation and transfiguration within it. And interestingly, here in Guatemala a year and a half ago, when I was doing my own dissolving and transmuting, I received the totem of the lotus, which is the brand that many of us are operating under, because it was given to me to bring forth as an activator for community projects. So I don't own it. Nobody owns the lotus, but I'm a gatekeeper of it right now until we scale it up. And the lotus as well fully has the significance and the metaphor working through it that we need the mud and the sludge to be the elixir that moves up through our roots for our higher being to reach transcendence. And that's why the lotus is such an archetype in so many spiritual systems of transcendental movement. So I guess what I've become more and more aware of, that these bits of research all tie in together, and the journey, the epic journey that I just finished, has helped me land with this system. And I piloted enough with many different people to know how these keys work. And I was also given some keys along the way. So quantum transfiguration, you can read more about it because it involves many modalities put together, and each person is unique. So we're working with each person's blueprint, each person's unique vibration and where they need to get to, with a huge mosaic of talking therapies, energy work, psychic surgery, quantum work, plant medicines, clearing work, reference point work. And we work through all the spectrum: ancestral, mythic, morphic field being the field in which we are, because it holds all the codes and consciousness imprints of the species or of the area. The karmic code. I also work, I've been given a kriya that works with the violet flame energy, which is about clearing karma. And we can't clear karma unless we get the lessons and the teachings. But more and more of us are becoming mindful, and sometimes we have this kind of accumulation of karmic debris that once we get to the sweet spot, we can actually clear it all. So those are some of the kriyas I work with, and I also work with channeled light languages, and those things have been coming through for 20 years. So, and I'm also a teacher of several energy work modalities. And again, I got some more upgrades and initiations when I was in the pyramids recently. So yeah, I've ended up like being sort of in one of those mythic stories. And I think we all are entering into this time where we create the new myth together. And more of you are experiencing these dream-like realities where we choose to opt in to this higher consciousness, to this liberated, emancipated spiritual sovereignty, where we can be in true alignment with our planetary purpose, and in so being become a mirror of our ecosystem and eliminate our own disease and shackles in order to assist this divine planet to know that we're sorting our shit out and therefore align. Because the planetary's wobbliness is just a mirror of our own wobbliness as we've got disconnected from her. And that connects to the work that I do with transpersonal eco-psychology, which I also studied in my transpersonal psychology masters. So I've made a little list. It's a little bit long for some of you. That's why I do everything oral tradition and text-based, because some of you like more patriarchal and some of you like more matriarchal. And hopefully you get the transmission within this about this work. I've done another video about kind of packages and the way I work, but I wanted to just share with you just about the serpent dreaming, and there's a lot of fear that people have, especially if they've been brought up in kind of organized Christianity, because it's feared, but it's actually this microcosm fractal for everything that pertains to us seeking higher wisdom and connecting up and down from the root up. And that's why I do a lot of work on the roots and the foundations, because so many people are trying to go too high too soon. So even the way that I work with quantum transfiguration, this is it. You've got to start at the dandelion root. You've got to start at the lotus root and move up. And that's why I have quite a lot of tools that I've created, which are brought together from many different cosmovisions and lineages and tribes that I've worked with, to give you a quick way of being able to clear some of your own debris, because it's about also you utilizing the tools. And then we incorporate talking therapy with these energetic methods, and often we'll work with the gene keys, which is such an amazing system, to find your own nuances so that you can be mindful of where you're growing into. And it's really beautiful, because so many brothers and sisters are starting to work with Kundalini energy, and it's so vital that we create this knowledge that working with the serpent energy within us, which is how we activate our own nadi system, and how we activate the masculine feminine within, and then create this divine circuitry and an inner circuit which brings us to transcendental consciousness and awakening. This is where we actually become emancipated too, because we can enter into bliss states and deeper states of knowing. And the more and more we work cultivating that, the more and more actually we just enter into those states naturally. But it's very important that we also look at, because our soul's not going to just let that jump in just straight away. In the yogic philosophies, we don't just have the serpent in isolation, and that links through to higher teachings, which I'm not going to share now, but this is part of the way that I deliver my work, is bringing in the soul awareness, because this will help the Kundalini to work in a more easy to manage way, but also it will help you to access the higher realms of your own inner consciousness and your own multidimensional blueprint better. What I'm developing, which again, I've been working with like psychic surgery for years, but actually for the last 10 years, I rarely do treatments on people, because I just have, within my own inbuilt oath, I guess, after my novice period where I wanted to heal and fix everything and everybody, kind of missionary period that many of us go through, I kind of realized that there is no point trying to fix people. And so even though I had tools for psychic surgery, I wasn't doing them too much and using them too much. But now, because I see the way the blueprint works and the way we work with your reference points and cultivate your own inner awareness of where you are, my guides are now very excited for me to upgrade quite a lot of the multidimensional psychic surgery that I've also been brewing, because as a Sekem teacher and master, I've been educated into portal awareness and and time travel, as one astrologer said recently. And so more and more, as I've been quite a hermit during these serpent journeys, I've been doing more homework and going to more mystery school libraries, and I've been researching some of the masters like Madame Blavatsky and yeah, I'm not going to name some of the other ones because it's actually some of these people you have to find your own way. But basically, what I've looked at is they've enabled me to remember something that I was looking for, and then I've got my own code to do it because the way I work with energy is different from the way they work from energy, and the way they were working with ailments, they were working with physical ailments, and I work more with psycho-spiritual disease and how it manifests. So I'm grateful to say that they've reading them and then immersing and sitting on it has now shown me a really good way that we can go into your time travel blueprint and retrieve aspects. It's a little bit like soul retrieval, but it's different because it's got psychic surgery and there are channels involved. And I'm really excited because since I went, aha, I've had people just randomly appearing to me just needing something, needing some support, and I'm able to just practice. And it's really exciting to me because once I got it, it totally makes sense. So there are all these different things that can be put into a bespoke, unique, personalized package because depending on what you need. And I also work with astrology to assist you, especially Mayan astrology, to help you to see where you fit and know more about your resonance. So that's a little bit about it. I'm so grateful to be able to sit in a hammock right now explaining this because there's a lot. It's been a lot of solitude actually, and years of traveling and years, and every bit of things like inheritances I had, which weren't huge, it's been spent on the path, and I'm so grateful for it because my guides were just like, just go, you need to go and learn, and I'm happy to now be at this point where I can call it a something, and I know that it totally resonates with everything, and that I know that actually that there's a higher force that has guided me to come to this point and to sit with this and to spend all these years in tribal communities and marginalized communities and learning about different ailments and dis-ease and see that suffering on the planet and within others and within myself and to clear those. And the most important thing about these works is though that I'm not healing you. We're coming into a resonance, okay? And we work with our points of resonance. And it will only be allowed to happen if you come into this really ready to do this. And that's why we have some consultations and homework and things like that first, because we need to see that you really want to do this. And I have to look at the karmic implications because I'm only allowed to work with people who are karmically aligned into their own upgrade, if you get me, because I'm just holding space for it. And when a person has gone through the necessary portals in their own life to receive this vibration, then I'm allowed to let it channel. And that's the way it works. So there are different teachings available for people at different levels of awakening. And yeah, don't expect everything overnight. But what I am doing is making this a kind of fast track way of working, but only if the right conditions are met and the right reciprocity is there, because my guides are very, very strict. And after years of being a bit of a super softie where people promise me things and X, Y, and Z, and then I get really tired and I don't have a home, I'm like, actually, I'm okay with being a little bit strict about the parameters with this. And it's coming into a deep dreaming collective consciousness space with you. So, yep. Get in touch if any of this resonates and we can take it forward from there. There may be different things for different people. And the text form of this tells a little bit more about the different modalities that are used. And also I want to say sometimes I bring in colleagues because we're we are a system, we are one. And so sometimes there will be something that needs a different vibration from mine. Oops, I wonder if this is just clicked off, and I wonder, is it still working? Yeah, cool, okay. So I hope you saw that last little bit. For now, signing off, and lots of love. Ciao, ciao.